It's June 20th, JLD here, and welcome to MSTR today. Kind of a slow day on the MSTR and Bitcoin news cycle. So we're just going to go ahead and have a special Saylor clip day. So enjoy these clips of Michael Saylor. They are classics. Remember, nothing is financial advice, but thank you and enjoy.
Is a motor on the network, right? Torquing the network, right? And so as they get bigger, they're going to get exponentially more powerful. MetaPlanet is getting exponentially more powerful. Saylor is getting exponentially more powerful. We are getting more powerful, right? So I think that they're part of the dynamic that's going to drive the market. But my thought is it should be growing 30 to 60% a year for the next decade. And, my long-term forecast is 30%, 29% ARR over about 21 years. So I haven't changed my view on that. And I think that everyone that gets involved, you are a driver, right? Everybody in this room is a driver. Every company that adopts Bitcoin is a driver. Every time a politician advocates for it, they're driving it forward. But you know what? Every single time a politician blocks something or reacts negatively to, they're driving it forward, right? You can't pay for the marketing we just got in Arizona, right? That's going to catalyze millions and millions of people to say, well, what is this? What is this thing? Was that the right decision? Right? Should we reevaluate this? So I think that everything is good for Bitcoin.
So Strategy is the company whose phone is always going to be ringing as new companies start to enter into this market. What sense are you getting that this is really accelerating at a much faster pace than people are thinking?
I think a year ago, there was us, and then Saylor and MetaPlanet, which are companies with an operating strategy that adopted a Bitcoin strategy. Really, that was just a year ago, right? Came out and said that they were going to adopt a Bitcoin treasury company strategy. And now we're up to 70 companies. So if you extrapolate that out, that means that next year, right, we could be at 700 companies, right? And I think, look, success breeds interest. And we're at a time when there is just a lot of uncertainty in the economic environment, which causes companies to ask themselves, how do we create value for our shareholders? And if they go out and they just say, let's look at the top 15 companies in the world last year, number one is MetaPlanet. Saylor follows somewhere in there, and I think we were number 14, right? Like, you would think that that would cause people to be interested. I think the other piece is a lot of folks talk about the Overton window and what's happening with the US government and the embracement of a strategic Bitcoin reserve, digital asset framework, stablecoin bills. We have an administration who's very supportive of Bitcoin. It makes everybody wake up and say, hey, what is this Bitcoin thing? Right? So I think we're early, but I think the acceleration is real. And I think, from last year to this year, right? We held this conference last year in Las Vegas. I think there are about 50 to 100 attendees. This year we're at 300 attendees. And I think in this room, there's probably 400 interested folks, right? Next year, maybe we'll have 1,000. Right, so I think the acceleration is absolutely real. It's exciting.
Bitcoin represents the greatest digital transformation of the 21st century. It represents digital capital. The global wealth is distributed across assets that provide utility and others that preserve capital. But risk is destroying trillions of dollars of that capital every single year. And investors are turning to digital capital in the form of Bitcoin in order to avoid that risk. Digital capital is economically and technically superior to physical capital, and it represents a revolutionary advance in capital preservation. The asset class itself is growing from trillions to hundreds of trillions of dollars, and it is backed by digital power along with political and economic power. Bitcoin's the best asset you can own. The numbers speak for themselves. It makes a lot more sense to buy Bitcoin than to buy your own stock back, or to hold Bitcoin rather than holding bonds. If you're going to outperform, you're going to need Bitcoin. Luckily, you have an alternative. Public support for Bitcoin is surging, as is support for the U.S. Bitcoin Strategic Reserve.
Sell them into Bitcoin. That way, we wouldn't have to use any new dollars.
As is Wall Street support.
I believe Bitcoin is legitimate.
And the President of the United States says,
never sell your Bitcoin, right?
That's why we're entering year one of the crypto renaissance. And you have a choice to make. Cling to the past or embrace the future. Divest billions of dollars and slow your growth rate. Invest billions of dollars and accelerate your growth rate. This is a 30-year chart of returns on the S&P index. And this chart tells you that if you missed one day, there's one day every year when 85%, 90% of all of the gains come. One day. And there are 36 hours a year when all investment return takes place. So in 365 days, nothing happens 99.5% of the time. This is why we have the laser eyes. This is why we say hodl. Because, and I have said before, trading Bitcoin is a sign of lesser intellect. This is a 30-year chart of returns on the S&P index. And this chart tells you that if you missed one day, there's one day every year when 85%, 90% of all of the gains come. One day. And there are 36 hours a year when all investment return takes place. So in 365 days, nothing happens 99.5% of the time. This is why we have the laser eyes. This is why we say hodl. Because, and I have said before, trading Bitcoin is a sign of lesser intellect.
Bitcoin is a nuclear-hardened protocol. It's pretty much the most robust, resilient thing the human race has yet to invent. For example, it's running on tens of thousands of nodes. You can't even identify the nodes, and there's an identical copy of the Bitcoin ledger on every one of them. So if all of the electricity got shut off everywhere on Earth, and every computer failed everywhere on Earth for 10 years, the protocol just goes dormant for 10 years. And as soon as one person turns one node back on, the entire protocol comes back to life again. There's nothing like that, right? All your money in a bank, in Bank of America, could be wiped out with, a keystroke. You go and you wipe out a few servers. Your building can be wiped out with a bomb, right? Lots of things can be wiped out, but Bitcoin is the most resilient thing in cyberspace because it is so incredibly decentralized. If you took an entire country offline, that's irrelevant. In fact, we just saw last year during the China crackdown that China banned Bitcoin mining. They took 40 to 50% of the entire network offline. Half of Bitcoin mining was taking place in China. The network didn't miss a beat. Not even for a minute. It just kept running, completely secure.
Let's be real. If you've ever tried to invest, especially as a beginner, you've probably asked yourself, how do I even find good stocks? What should I buy or sell right now? And seriously, what the hell is going on with the market today? I ask myself those same questions all the time. And that's exactly why I started using Investing Pro, the powerful new platform from investing.com that helps you make smarter investing decisions without drowning in information overload. One of my favorite features, Warren AI. It's like ChatGPT on the stock market, but with real-time data-backed answers straight from investing.com's massive financial database. Want to know why Nvidia dropped yesterday or why now is a good time to buy Tesla? Just ask. Warren AI gives you instant, up-to-date insights you can actually act on. I recently asked it where to invest $10,000 right now, and the list of stocks that returned, fire, full of actionable ideas I hadn't even considered. Bottom line, if you want to invest smarter, faster, and with more confidence, Investing Pro with Warren AI is a game changer. Check it out now at investing-referral.com/MSTR. Online shopping has never been easier, but this ease is new enough that we remember a time when entering all our credit card info every time we purchased something online was the norm. Luckily, we don't have to do that anymore thanks to Shopify. That's right, that purple Shop Pay button that makes it seamless to purchase online is powered by Shopify. And Shopify doesn't just make it easy to buy, it makes it incredibly easy to start a business no matter your experience. Shopify is the commerce platform behind 10% of all e-commerce in the US, and they make it super easy to get up and running with beautiful, ready-to-go templates and built-in marketing and email tools. Worried about tracking inventory, payments, and analytics? No stress. Shopify helps you manage it all from a single dashboard. And back to that iconic purple Shop Pay button, it's why Shopify has the best converting checkout on the planet. If you want to see less carts being abandoned, it's time for you to head over to Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/MSTR. Go to shopify.com/MSTR, shopify.com/MSTR.
In MicroStrategy, the stock up more than 500% just this year. MicroStrategy will now be added to the NASDAQ 100 on December 23rd in its annual rebalancing. The company currently holds 439,000 Bitcoin after announcing another purchase just this morning. Joining us is MicroStrategy co-founder and executive chairman Michael Saylor. Well, you're the guest of the moment. So is there a limit to how much Bitcoin you're going to acquire?
No, I've said we'll just keep buying the top forever. Every day is a good day to buy Bitcoin. We look at it as cyber Manhattan. I would have bought Manhattan 100 years ago, 200 years ago, every year for the past 300 years. You pay a little bit more than the person that bought Manhattan before you, but it's always a good investment to invest in the economic capital of the free world.
I think the best way to get superior returns, 100x type returns, if you're an individual, would be you keep your day job, and so you maximize the cash flow you generate via whatever your profession is. You're responsible on your expenditures. You have to think in the year 2045, I think a Bitcoin's worth $13 million. So every Bitcoin that you don't buy is a $13 million cost. That Ferrari that you're going to buy is going to cost you like 6 Bitcoin. And so it's going to be a $100 million Ferrari, right? If you look out 20 years. So you have to keep your job. You know, unless you're insanely rich, don't splurge on the Ferrari. Buy the 6 Bitcoin instead. And with regard to leverage, the intelligent leverage for the individual is generally long-dated, mid-dated mortgage debt. So if I have any kind of property, if I have a house, I would put a long mortgage on it, a 10-year mortgage, a 15, a 20-year mortgage on it, especially a conforming loan, and then I would roll it into Bitcoin. Because mortgage debt is not mark to market. It's against an asset which is fairly stable. Normally the interest rates are somewhat subsidized by a Fannie Mae or a Freddie Mac program or a government program. So it's the cheapest form of permanent capital that someone can get. So, I give you what you shouldn't do. You shouldn't quit your job. You shouldn't splurge on sports cars you can't afford. Don't buy a yacht because it's obscenely expensive, and don't pay off your mortgages. Don't get debt free. Any capital you have that's not mark to market capital
would be better invested in an asset that's going up 30% a year for the next 20 years. You know, it was a $90 billion asset class in March of 2000 when I was first looking at it. And then by August, it was about a $180 billion asset class. And right now, 4 years later, it's $1.8 trillion asset class. And I think it's going to 18 trillion, then 180 trillion, then it's going to go beyond that. So I think it's a very simple thing. I think Bitcoin is going to grow from 0.1% of the money in the world to 7% of the money in the world over the next 21 years. And of course, you should just go long and keep buying it.
0.1% to, you said 7%?
Yeah, it'll go from like 1.8 trillion to $240 trillion, and it'll go up 29% a year, ARR. That is my base case.
And I've heard you say that in 21 years, it's going to be at $13 million
That
per
takes
Bitcoin.
you to 13 million a coin.
13 million a coin
13 million a coin.
at 29%.
Every Bitcoin you don't buy is going to cost you $13 million, my friend.
Every
Think hard.
Bitcoin. So let me ask this
Your
question.
Ford Bitcoin Ferrari is going to be a... Your time today. I'll stay in touch with Bilal. I would offer you just one final thought, which is it's a global economy. Pakistan has many brilliant people, and a lot of people do business with you. My company had less than $400 million to invest, but the markets gave me $40 billion because they trust us. And so the most important thing is leadership, intellectual leadership, and that they trust you. If the world trusts you and they hear your words and you speak articulately, the capital and the capability will flow to Pakistan. It's there. It wants to find a home. And that's what happened with our company. Our success is because we were clear and committed. And once the market decides who the leader is, they get behind the leader and they send their money to you. And I think they'll do it to Pakistan too. You have the most important thing, which is you have a commitment and a will and clarity here. So I look forward to working with you. What's the second best? There is no second best.